Hi everyone! For today's tutorial, I wanted to play around with some charcoal. So I've got these two charcoal sets here, and these are from Generals. And this one is sort of like in your pencil version, and it comes with a soft, medium, hard, and a white. And this is sort of the peel back version of it, and it comes with a soft, medium, and hard as well. And they both come with a little eraser too. And what I did for this sketch was I used the two pencil versions. So this is the white and the soft. And I did my sketch, so I'll have this reference photo and the line art available for you so that you can follow along with this. But as I saw the light coming in, I know sometimes with charcoal and graphite and things like that, you tend to lose the light pretty quickly. So where I saw it was the brightest areas, I went ahead and sketched out with my white charcoal pencil. Now you can follow this along with any medium that you want. You just need a dark and a light version. You could pretty much use any color, I guess, as long as you have a light and a dark version of it. But I thought this would be a really great study to do a black and white picture of just a hand. And I am not a portrait artist. I don't really draw or paint people. But I want to start getting into that. So I thought a little hand study would be really fun for that. And we'll see how this goes. But that's what I did. I did the white and the soft with that. And I chose the pencil version because this has a little bit more of a tip than this one does. So I was able to get a finer line with it. But I'll probably end up using this peel and sketch one for most of it. And for this, all that you do is you just kind of pull this string down and then you just kind of peel it off, I guess. Maybe. Oh yeah, there it goes. Okay. So you just peel it off and it will go up. Oh boy. And we're still peeling, and there, a big chunk of charcoal, and now that's probably going to break off, but that's how you use that. And then I've also got this little tortillon, I don't know if it's called a tortillon or a stump. I think the tortillons are hollow, and this might be a stump. I'm not sure. You guys can correct me down in the comments below. But I've just got this, so I figured one side I can use for the darker colors and the other side I could use for the lighter colors. And then I've just used some masking tape just to hold this down so the paper doesn't slip around on me. And this is the Canson Mitients gray toned paper, and this is on the more textured side. Now, for whatever reason, this gray toned paper, it looks pretty close front to back, but there is a little bit of a smoother side and a little bit of a more textured side. So that's the side I'm working on today. So with all that aside, let's just get right into it. And I think I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to grab my piece of glassine paper here, just so that I don't end up smudging stuff as I'm working. And I'm going to try to go from left to right because I am right-handed. If you're left-handed, feel free to go the opposite way. But I'm going to start with the white because I want to get some of the highlights in here. And I don't think this will end up being too detailed because, like I said, I'm not really a portrait artist. I've never drawn hands before, so this is a first. We're going to see how this goes. But I just see some light here on the edge of this finger. So we're going to start getting this in. And you could absolutely follow along with, colored pencils if you want, paint, anything really. So I'm just looking where those brightest areas are right now. And I'm not really focusing on any details. I just want to get in our lighter areas. And I've never used these, I'm not a big graphite or charcoal artist, but I don't know, charcoal intrigues me because I like the fact that I can just you know, do a tonal piece like this with a white and a dark. So let me know if you would recommend any other types of charcoal, and I could always give those a try. But I always recommend, especially when you're starting out with art too, to try to do some black and white photos, because you're really going to focus on your values, and that's really going to make the piece look more realistic than trying to add all this detail into something. It's really more about your values. Drag this down a little bit lower, I think, and add a little bit more of like a rim light along here. And I'm going to start going in here because there's some really bright spots in here as well. So with any medium, really, you want to work, I always start with my lightest areas, then I'll go in with my darkest areas usually, depending what the piece is or depending how familiar I am with the medium that I'm working with. And then once I've got those lights and darks in, it's really easy to go in with your midtones and adjust things, make them a little bit brighter, a little bit darker, change the color. And I find once you get those lights and darks in, the piece kind of starts to come together a little bit already, and it just makes it a little easier for you to judge sort of what you're doing. I'm also thinking of maybe starting to do some more live streams. I had done one once. We did a little chick in watercolor, and I kind of like how that turned out, and I liked doing the live streams, but I kind of got a little nervous about doing any more. So if you guys want to see some more live streams, I was thinking of either live streaming, just doing tutorials like this real time, and then we can chat and you guys can ask any questions that you have, or even doing things like swatching, because I've just gotten some more art stuff, art products, so we could always do like swatching live and you guys can come and watch and ask questions. I thought that might be fun. So depending when this video goes out, I may have already started doing that. So be sure to check for that, or comment down below if you'd, you know, want to see something like that. All right. So it's coming along. There's like this little light that comes around here too, like underneath where the nail bed is. And then on the ends. I'm gonna do just a thin line along the edge there. Now for this part, I would imagine I'd rather get a little bit more light in than too much dark, because I find these are hard to go over the dark areas. Like once you get a dark area, it's never going to be completely white again. So my plan is to try to put a little bit more light in than I think I'll need. And then that way I won't risk losing it. We'll see how that works out. And working with this charcoal is pretty nice because I don't have to worry about having a really fine tip or a really sharp tip. It's kind of just like laying down really well, and I'm not using too much of it up, so that's also pretty nice. Okay, so this is a little light in here. And then this comes around. This is pretty light here at the tip of the fingers. So I would say our light source is sort of coming this way, maybe at a slight angle or even right on, because I'm noticing, you know, all this side is pretty light and under here is pretty light. There's like a line right along here as well. So I'm just really looking, you know, where those areas are, where the lights and the darks are. Because I'm not super familiar with, you know, the anatomy of a hand. So when I do the sketch for you guys, I will trace it just to make sure that you have like as most accurate sketch as possible. And usually I do that in Procreate. I will pull up my images in there, trace them out for you guys, and then I can always resize it depending like what size of paper that I'm using, or make any changes to it. Because I sort of just sketch mine out quickly. I usually don't worry too much about it being super accurate, because once I start getting my colors down, I can always adjust it from there. But, you know, with a portrait for people, if you get the fingers wonky or if you get, you know, an eye out of place, it's not going to be as easily fixable as if there was a petal out of place on a flower. Nobody's going to know, you know, the difference there. If there's a petal or a leaf out of place, or even if you're doing a pet portrait and the hair's not exactly right, well, if the dog moves a little bit, the hair's going to be different. So, you know, some of that doesn't have to be completely accurate, but if you've got a finger going the wrong way or a knuckle out of place, then that looks a little bit different. So I'm just still trying to get these main bright areas in here. And I'd like to know, like, do you guys like, sort of sometimes I just ramble on, or sometimes if I've got nothing to say, I'll just leave it silent. Do you like it that way, or would you prefer there be music in the background, like just some soft music or something like that? Or would you rather it just be silent and I'll say something when I have something to say? Let me know. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of come up here again and just start putting in, there's just a slight little light area coming down the back here. And I'm just letting the pencil sort of skim over the surface here because it's not really a bright white. It's more of like a very, very light shadow. Like not super bright, not as bright as the other areas, but it's not as dark as our darks either. So I'm just sort of gonna let this see what it looks like when we blend it out. And then this one kind of starts going this way. There's like that hump of the thumb here, which kind of comes around and goes like that. And there's a little bit of light on top of that. So it's starting to look hand-ish, if that makes any sense. And I'm just looking for any areas that I want to adjust, add a little bit more light to. Went up a little bit too high there. Knuckles not coming out of the hand. Just gonna add a little bit more. sort of this faint light area that comes and connects to this area. So I'm going to get that in. Okay, so I think I'm going to blend out these highlight areas, and we'll see. Oh, I really like how that softens it out. Like it really sort of pushes it into the paper and sort of softens it out a bit. And it does blend out quite a bit, so maybe in some of these areas I didn't need to put as much down. But this is a learning phase with this medium. But I kind of like this. And I apologize for the scratchy noise. And for this blending it out, I'm not really pushing hard at all. I'm just sort of letting this kind of run over the paper itself. Yeah, I kind of like, I might be doing more charcoal pieces. We'll see, Because so far I'm liking this, and I feel like it's going pretty quick. I mean, we're 20 minutes in, but I'm not, I'm not even really sure 100% what I'm doing. So we're just kind of testing it out. Maybe I should have outlined the whole thing in white, because now I've got like a little dark line in some of these areas that I thought were a little bit darker, and then upon like looking at the reference photo again, I'm like, okay, no, there's some light still coming from there. So oh well. Oh, that scratchy noise. nice though. So I hope I can still go over top. Like some of this white is really like moving into the dark areas a little bit more. Like I'm gonna have to darken this up. So I'm hoping that dark will go over top the white. And I would assume it would. Because I definitely didn't need to put as much of the white on as I did. I didn't know how much of it would blend out. But it's blending out and it's like really moving around really easily, so I like that. Just trying to blend some of these edges where I had done it with the dark as well. Because there is still, like, it's hard to tell, there's still a little bit of darkness there, but then it's got like a ring of light just on the inside of it. I wonder if I wipe some of that off. I wonder if that will get rid of some of it. Oof. Oh, I'm really sorry about that scratchy noise. I know that some people will probably really not like that, but I can only do so much. Yeah, next time I can definitely do a little bit less of the white. That's all right. We know now. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna start getting in here a little bit. So I'm just trying to see, you know, the structure of the hand, where any of those light areas are. Okay, maybe I'll work on this top half now. Just gonna push that out of the way for now. And I'm just doing it like this because I'm trying to get my hand out of the way while I'm doing this too, so you guys can see really well what I'm doing. So it might look like I'm doing this really awkwardly, but I try not to cover up too much. And there might be times where I do when I'm not thinking about trying to get my hand out of the way, and I do apologize for that. Okay, so I think I brought this down a little bit too low. I think it needs to sort of go like this, kind of like that. So hopefully we can cover that up. And I usually say this in a lot of my videos, but the reason I pick glassine over like just a piece of paper or something like that is because when this is rubbing over the artwork, it doesn't pick up any pigment or any little pieces that might be on top and like scratch it on your work. It's very smooth and it just glides over the surface like really easily. So that's why I like this. So I'm sort of working from the lightest area to the darkest area instead of going from the light to the dark, because I've noticed I've been pulling it out a little bit too much. So I'm going to try doing it that way to see if it works a little bit better. I think it does. Okay, so maybe we'll start from here. I don't know if this like gets off any of it, but I'm gonna try, where I don't want like too much. Okay, so I don't really like how you can see like that dark line there. So I might try to get my Tombow mono eraser out and see if I can erase some of this dark off. I think the next time I would do this, I would just do the whole sketch in white, probably. And then you could just add your darks in. Well, that works pretty good. Yeah, that seems to be working. Now, I do like it in some areas, you know, where there's like a really dark spot here, and I kind of don't mind it too much on the fingers and that, but I think this was just a little bit lighter than what I had thought when I was initially sketching it out. Okay. Now, you don't want to wipe over that because I don't want to smudge it or anything like that. Usually I'll use a little brush like this, but I think maybe if we go gently. Okay, I think maybe since I I think that's on the paper. I think maybe since I, you know, rubbed it into the paper, it's not going to move too much. So this is okay, but I'm just doing it just very lightly, barely touching the paper. But I probably wouldn't try that once I've had the darks down. And then I'm just going to go along this edge again and just try to sort of fix it up. I might need to go along with a little bit more white there and fix it. We'll see. Okay, so I don't hate how this is coming out. I kind of like so far how it's looking. So we're going to see how it looks once we start getting this on, and I'm going to have to flip this over. Might have to write down on it like light and dark or something like that so I don't mix it up. But I think once I start using this to blend it out, then it will be okay. All right, so let's continue over here. And I think what I'll try is maybe putting a little bit less of this, blending it out, and we'll see how much this blends compared to the white pencil. Because I feel like this is going to blend out quite a bit. So I'm sort of going to go in the middle, and then I'll blend it towards the our lighter areas. And then we can always adjust and add if we need to. So again, I'm just looking at my reference photo. It's really easy for this one because the lights seem to be on the outsides more and then the dark sort of in the middle. So we'll see how this plan goes. But so far, I'm really liking this, and I think I might be doing more pieces like this, because if I did this in colored pencil, this would take a while. You know, a piece this big. So that's why when I'm doing colored pencil or, you know, more slow mediums like that, I try to keep it smaller. But this might be really fun, and this might be fun to do some fur too. So let me know if you guys want to see that too. So I'm just trying to see in here where the darks are. And I'm trying not to put too much down. Now here's a really dark area, so I'm going to fill in this area here. But I'm not sure, you know, how much this is going to blend out. So when it's a really dark area, I'm just trying to do like a little line. So I don't know how far it's going to go. I really like trying new mediums and just playing around with them and sort of seeing what you can accomplish, what you can create, what they can do. And especially when you're trying a medium for the first time like this, you can't expect your piece to look, you know, as good as a medium that you've been using for years and years. So don't expect it to be perfect when you're trying something out, and especially when you're first starting art. You know, everybody has this misconception of, you know, I just want to put a pencil to the paper and it's going to be perfect right away. But it's really a lot of practice, a lot of trial and error. So don't be discouraged if yours doesn't come out, you know, as good as somebody else. If you're following along with a tutorial or one of mine, like, just because I'm trying this for the first time, and maybe you are too, and you think, now this could come out horrible. We don't know yet. But if it comes out good and yours doesn't, you know, don't be discouraged and think, well, this is the first time she's using this charcoal too. Why, you know, why doesn't mine look like hers? I've had, you know, more practice really looking at and really studying my values. And in every piece, I practice that. Because if you don't have lights and darks to create a good value range, some contrast, then no matter what medium you're working in, it's never going to look realistic. It's going to look more cartoony. And if that's the look that you're going for, that's fine. That's completely okay. Everybody's different, but if you want a more realistic look, then that's what you need to focus on. I'm going to be careful around this finger here because I don't want to get rid of that nice chunky finger shape we got going on, if that's a thing. So this comes down here. This is still a little bit dark down here and right in here. And if something like this confuses you, like I'm just going over the whole thing, then I'll blend it out again. But maybe you just want to focus on one finger. So just do your lights, your darks, blend that out, see how it looks, then move on to the next finger. You know, you don't have to work on the whole thing all at once like I am. Sometimes you want to break it down, and sometimes I'll do that with certain pieces I'm working on, like florals. If it's a really complicated flower, I'll probably work on like 1 or 2, maybe 3 petals, you know, focus on that and then move on to the next few petals and work that way. So again, there's this dark area underneath the nail here, so I'm just trying to get that in. And then it kind of connects to this shadow here. And there's like a little tiny, barely anything right underneath that where the tip of the nail is. And I'm still really able to get some fine lines with this because I'm using it on the side more to fill in like these areas. And then when I need a little line, I'll go like top down like this. And I feel like that's really preserving the tip of it well. So I quite like this. I'm just trying to see how wide this shadow goes here on this side. Now I'm not going to worry too much about like the details and stuff in the hand. I just want to more focus on my lights and darks, but getting a little, like a tiny bit of detail in there. Now I know I need to widen the shadow here, but I'm not going to go too far because I think this will pick up a lot of this pigment and push it into those areas anyway. Like our white did. And I'm just going to push that out of the way. So I'm seeing how this curves, and then it kind of curves like this and like this. Okay. Okay, so it's looking funky right now, but we're going to go ahead and start blending everything out again. So I'm just going to blend the dark, and I think I'll start in the middle and sort of push it out towards the edges, and then we'll see what we're looking with. But that's what it looks like right now. So this is the clean side again. So And yeah, this stuff smudges around quite easily as well. So I might even leave some of this area and then come back like and sort of blend in between. So I don't want to lose too much of our light areas either. Yeah, so I kind of like starting in the lighter area when I've got just a little bit on here and then sort of blending it to the dark. And then I can kind of do the dark area after. So now I'm looking a little bit more where those midtones are too, coming from, because that's going to help start shaping this as well. Oh, and look, I'm smudging it, so I'm not even using my glassine that well. That's all right. Okay, so I need a little bit more dark. Now maybe next time I would try doing the darks first and then the lights and see how that works. But so far, I'm liking this pretty good. And I might go over with our lights again just to make sure that some of our brightest highlights are preserved. And here I'm just like lightly going over it where I feel I need to lose some of that brightness. And this seems to be working okay. So just really lightly blending here when I want to mix the colors. This seems to be working really well. kind of wipe a little bit of that off. All right, so I like how these fingers are turning out. I'm going to kind of go back and sort of do that where I just lightly kind of blend on the sides here to get sort of that mid-tone color. And this needs to be darker. And I'm constantly looking at my reference photo too, making sure I don't go too far into the lights, but I want to go far enough. And I think we can always go back in and add a little bit darker where we need it and a little bit lighter where we need it. This seems like a very forgiving medium. So that's why I think this would be really great for beginners to work with. And I'm just dragging some of these edges out a little bit. And then I'm just starting to blend this middle part where I need it the most dark. Get a little bit dark in here. There's sort of like this little triangle area here where it's just slightly darker than like right here. There's sort of a slight highlight along where that bone sticks out, kind of goes along here. So we might have to add a little bit more of that back in, but just toning this area down a little bit. I think it's a little too bright. So I'm just grabbing a little bit darkness and then pulling it down. I'm just toning that highlight too. And I'm just going to blend this middle area out. Just toning down. This area, it's a little too bright there as well. Okay. So I'm just going back to blend or tone any areas down that I feel are still just a little too bright, perhaps. just a little bit more light right there. Just took away a little bit too much. There, so I actually really like how this turned out. I think for a first attempt, that looks pretty darn good. I might just go and deepen up just the darkest areas, so right in here. And then just maybe a little bit like along here, just because the thumb's a little more one of our main focal areas. I think I'm going to bring just a little bit more darkness down here. I'll just do the middles of all the fingers, just a smidgen. Bring a little bit of darkness under here too, where it's almost the same value as over here. Okay, I think I'm gonna call this done because I could just keep playing with it. But for a first attempt, I think I really like how this turned out. I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know if you're following along or just watching. Do you want to see me do more charcoal pieces like this? Because this was really fun to do, and I feel like it was pretty quick. I mean, for a first time, I was kind of doing some trial and error. But let me know what you guys want to see next. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye!